Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have a Benu Talisman and this is the Tiger's Eye. We have a Benu and this is the Earl Grey tea. We have a Conway Stewart and this is the King Charles III Coronation. We have a Onoto Christmas Carol, and this is in the silver. We have another Onoto Christmas Carol in the gold. We have a Visconti Opera Master Savanna, a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Egyptian marble. We have a Benu Euphoria in the Vodka on the rocks, a Benu Euphoria in the Bourbon, and we have the Benu Euphoria, and this is the New Year 2023. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is the beautiful Benu Talisman, and this is the Tiger's Eye, and you can just see how this really does reflect a tiger's eye. I really do like the colour on this. The glitter I think is a nice touch, but I like the oranges and the blacks on this. It really does remind me of a tiger's eye. With all Benus, or certainly the more newer Benus, you get a number 6 size Schmidt nib, and I got this in a broad nib. I was tempted to get it in a medium, but knowing that I was going to ink this up either with an orange or a brown ink, I probably will eventually go with a brown ink. I still have an orange ink in here at the moment. But I thought I would go for a broad nib. And I have been liking the broad nibs a little bit more recently. And I don't know what it is, but with steel nibs, I typically do prefer either a medium or a broad. And I would say probably more towards the broad. So this is a beautiful pen. I'm glad that I did add this to my collection in December last year. Another one that arrived just before Christmas, which I didn't think was going to arrive until after Christmas into the new year, is this one. And this is a Goulet exclusive, and it is a Benu, and it's the Earl Grey tea in the Euphoria. And I really do like Earl Grey tea and Lady Grey, but more so Earl Grey. And knowing that the body here has infused tea leaves, and it's hard to show this on camera, but you'll hopefully see it here, that there is a lot of infused tea leaves in this resin. Again, it comes with a number 6 size Schmidt nib, and again, I got this with a broad nib. These are cartridge converters, and maybe you can see that a little bit there more, that you can see the tea leaves here sort of through the body there. It really is quite an interesting pen, and I do like Earl Grey tea, so hopefully you'll see it there on the cap as well. Beautiful pen, and I really think if anyone was going to do this, it was going to be Benu. And you can post the caps on these pens. It does make it long, but if you are a cap poster, then that probably won't bother you so much. It's not that back weighted, but you do get some lovely blue sort of lavender in the body and cap here as well. Not a huge amount, but enough just to make it stand out. This is a really, really nice pen, and I have to say that I am really liking that pen. And I did think that maybe I should have got a medium nib on that one. Mostly because I've got a medium nib on this one here, and I love how it writes. But I can swap the nibs over, and I probably will at some point. But I have an orange ink inked up in this, and that's why I really decided I would go for a broad nib, because the orange is going to show a little bit more in its colour in a broad nib. The next pen inked up is this one, and it's a Conway Stewart, and this is the King Charles III Coronation in sterling silver. So this was a pen that I did review at the end of December, and I bought this from Bespoke British pens, or Conway Stewart, and I reviewed it to start with, and I liked it so much that I bought it. And I have to say that this is a really nice pen. It does have a resin section, and also the actual cap is resin, but you have the silver overlay over the body and over the cap as well. It's a decent size weight. It's not too heavy in the hand compared to maybe like some of my Onotos, or maybe even like this Visconti, which I'll show in a moment. But you can post the cap as well, and it will post. It is back weighted though, so it's not something I personally would want to do. But you can see in the size of my hand, that's a pretty good size of pen. But I really do like the gear shade that, just screw that cap on there, that you see there on both the body and, well, the cap and the body as well. It really is quite stunning. So, and likewise, you've got the old style Conway Stewart tie clip as well. It's a really nice pen. Have to take my hat off to Conway Stewart or Bespoke British Pens for making this pen. It really is a nice pen. The next two pens, which are equally as nice, are these ones, and these are the Onoto in the Charles Dickens theme of scroll work here. These are the Christmas Carol 2023. So you can see it's an Onoto with that cap finial, and being 2023, there were only 23 pens made. Now, typically, you would only normally have one pen, but this year Onoto decided to do two pens. They did it in this silver trim here, was one, and then the gold trim in that one, which I'll show you in a moment. I got these with the Onoto number 7 size, 18 karat gold, medium nib. I got a medium nib on the Conway Stewart as well. I am liking mediums more so, and typically if it's a good writing nib or a wet writing nib, that's what I will go for. You could post the cap on here, and it will post deeply and securely. These are all cartridge converters for these Benus, the Conway Stewart, and these Onotos. Now, the next Onoto, again, is the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol 2023, and you'll see there, again, it's got number 7 of 23. So I got number 7 in both of these. I did get the option to choose a number, and numbers really don't mean a lot to me in terms of limited edition numbers. I did have a number 7 on, I think it was the Queen's Jubilee sterling silver and the Coronation sterling silver. So Feng at Onoto did actually say, are there any particular numbers you would like? And I said, well, nothing really appeals to me, but hey, look, if you've got number 7, I'll take number 7 again, and he did have, or they did have number 7 available. So this is in the gold trim, and this is in the gold gilding, where this is silver trim and silver gilding. And I have to say, as much as I like the gold, I think it matches with this tortoiseshell colour. I do like the way that the silver stands out. Again, though, I got a number 7 size Onoto 18 karat gold medium nib, and these are cartridge converters, and I can post the cap as well. Very, very nice, and glad that I added these to my collection. When I met up with Onoto in June to pick up the 2 sterling silvers, the Platinum Jubilee and the Coronation pen, there was a hint, I hadn't actually seen it, but there was a hint that it was going to be a blue resin and not the tortoiseshell. So I don't quite know what happened about that. Maybe the blue's coming later on. Maybe they got the blue earmarked for another pen. Maybe they weren't happy with the blue. I don't know. I don't know the story behind the blue. It could have just been that they thought, hey, look, we'll say blue just to put people off, or maybe to see if people were interested. And honestly, I wasn't that interested in. I think in the blue, although I do like blue pens. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what 2024's Christmas Carol will be like. Will it be the blue? Will it be a blue and a red? Who knows? They have done red in the past, and I did miss out on that one. But I have got the green, I've got the plain black, and then I got these two as well. Now, the next pen here, I've actually written it dry. I'm going to refill it in a moment. Is the Visconti Opera Master Savanna. This is a limited edition run of 888, and that's 277. I won this in, I want to say October, maybe November. It's probably November 22 at an auction. This was Regina Martini, I should say. And really glad that I did. I got it for a very good price. It was a auction, not a buy now, although I think she did have another one on a buy now. And I really like this. It's the newer style Opera Master. It's got the hook safe lock mechanism, which, to be honest, I was never a fan on the Opera Masters. But I don't know. It's growing on me now. I liked it on the Homo sapiens. It's got a number 6 size Visconti 18 karat gold nib, and just having a look. This one is a broad nib, and that is because, again, it's a yellowy or orangey pen, and I wanted to be able to see that ink, so I got it in a broad nib. I didn't have the option of choosing, but I think I saw the auction and it was a broad nib. You could post a cap there. Typically, I do not on most pens, but you can do, and I was just trying to screw that on like a normal pen. It's a hook safe lock, so it's a quarter of a turn. And most of my Opera Masters are screw threads, not the hook safe lock mechanism. I think I've only got 2 of the newer Opera Masters with a hook safe lock mechanism. The next pen is a pen that I've really not written with much and inked up much, but I do like it. It's a bittersweet, bittersweet moment, I guess. Like, I wanted this Egyptian marble version of the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. I've got a number of the other Medici Il Magnificos from Visconti. But when it arrived, I guess I was a little bit disappointed in the pattern, or more so the colouring, I would say. The pattern looks nice. It's more so the colouring. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't normally try to pick the patterns or the colours of pens. I just accept what I have. It is a nice pen, and I do like it. It's got a medium 18 karat gold nib there from Visconti. It is a Paravac. It's a double reservoir, which is the same as the Visconti Opera Master. Actually, sorry, this is a single reservoir, not double. The Visconti Opera Master is a double. You can post the cap. It won't post that deeply and is very back weighted. So this pen is made of solid marble. And obviously sterling silver. I think this one's sterling silver. I'd need to double check. So sometimes they're brass. I think this might be brass. Sometimes it's silver and then vermeiled. I'd need to double check this, but it's a beautiful pen, and I like it. It's just that maybe, I don't know. The colouring. I guess I'm torn with what colour to put in this pen. Do I put a yellow? Do I put a creamy coloured ink? Which I don't really have many creamy coloured inks. It's more brown, light brown, orange, or yellow, or mango, something like that. And typically I do put mango in there. But it's a nice pen. It's not a cheap pen, and I do need to write with it more. The next pen inked up is this one, and this is the Benu, and it's the Euphoria, and it's the Vodka on the Rocks. Stunning pen. very glittery that you can see there. Beautiful pen. And if I unscrew the cap, you'll see there a bit of nib creep, but it's a Schmidt number 6 size nib. It's a fine nib. You can post the caps on these. They're not back weighted, so they do post quite nicely. And I like these clips. You push down at the cap funnel there, and quite springy. So I think Benu really have made the Euphoria a nice pen. The only thing that I kind of dislike about them is the black cap band. Being resin, I kind of wonder if they could do something a little bit more. I think they did a little bit more on this one where they've actually coated or infilled with a silver the Benu name. And I kind of like that a little bit more. And I think I like it that it's coloured and it's not black. I think if they'd made this more silver and this one more brown, I think that would have made it look nicer still. The next pen inked up is the Benu, and this is again another Euphoria, but it's a Bourbon. Again, beautiful colours, lovely browns and yellows and sort of reds there. Reminds me of Bourbon or whiskey, or both. I've got a number 6 size Schmidt fine steel nib on this one. And again, being a Euphoria, you can post the cap here as well. And I do like, I really like the fine nib on this one. I do find the Vodka on the Rocks being a little bit too coarse. I may need to just smooth that nib out a little bit. And sometimes when you smooth the nib out, sometimes you can take tipping off, but sometimes you can also smooth it out to the point that you're rounding the tipping off and actually widening the nib. And I think that's what I'd like to try and do a little bit on this one if I can. And then the last pen inked up here this week as well is this one. And this is the Benu Euphoria New Year 2023. And you can see it's got lots of yellow stars in the cap there and also in the body. It really, really looks beautiful. And I do think the way that they've done this green translucent cap band with the Benu filled in silver, I think is nice. And I wish they'd do that more on these Euphorias. It comes with a number 6 size Schmidt nib, and I got a medium on this one. I think the board may have been sold out when I bought this from Cult Pens, and this was towards the end of 22. So I think I was only limited to the fine or medium, and I already had a few fines, so I thought I would get the medium. It's a really nice pen, cartridge converter, as all the Euphorias are, but I do like that one, so I have that one inked up with me this week as well. So I think with that, let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up this week is the Benu Talisman, and this is the Tiger's Eye. So I think let's go and do an ink swatch here. So this is a broad nib, and I mentioned that I wanted to have a broader nib so I could show off the orange ink a little bit more, or brown. The problem with a fine nib is that you're not going to see the ink as much. You can see it fairly well with a medium, but I went with a broad on this one. So this is the Benu Talisman, and it's a Tiger's Eye, and it is a little bit shorter and thinner than the Euphoria. And I got a broad, and it's a steel Schmidt nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Blaze Orange, which is a favourite orange of mine. And I still have several bottles of that. I think I've probably gone through about 4 bottles over the time with that. Or probably 2 bottles, and I probably had 4 in total. The next pen inked up is the Benu Euphoria Earl Grey Tea. And again, I went for the broad nib on this one, and strangely enough, I don't order much from Goulet, mostly because I do have to pay import tax. The shipping is quite high from America as well to the UK, but I made an exception here and decided to buy it. Well, actually, a friend was going to order it for me, but they do not like ordering from Goulet. So I will mention the person's name. I won't mention the person's name, Tony. But in the end, I ordered it myself because I knew he wasn't going to order it for me. So this is the Benu Euphoria, and it is Earl Grey tea, and I really am loving this, and I have been thinking about maybe getting a second one. It's abroad, and it's a steel Schmidt nib. And then the ink in here is Dominant Industry, and it's I think it's maybe a Cult Pens exclusive. It's Earl Grey, Earl Grey tea, and beautiful orange, and I think it really does match the colour of that pen quite nicely. The next pen inked up is the Conway Stewart King Charles III Coronation pen, and that's in sterling silver. So we'll do an ink swatch, and I really do like how this nib writes. It has a slight singing sort of noise to it, which I think I could probably actually correct myself, but I love how this nib writes. So I'm very torn in whether or not I want to touch that nib because it just writes so beautifully well. And I only seem to get that singing on this Oxford Optic paper. I don't get it on Tomoe River. So this is the Conway Stewart, and it's the Coronation pen, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey. And I'd say that I mostly write on Tomoe River. So that's the main reason why I'm not seeing if I could correct that nib. When a nib sings, it's normally that the two tines are oscillating together, and then it's making that sort of singing noise. And sometimes you can correct it, sometimes you can't. It really just depends on the tines. But I love how that nib writes, so that's why I've not made any changes to it. The next pen inked up is the Onoto, and this is the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol 2023. And this is in the silver gilding or silver trim. And do an ink swatch here. I'm really loving this grey ink. Strange enough, this is a UK Pen Show exclusive ink, and I inked it up in was it a Hongdian pen with a blade nib, which is really like an architect nib, and I was getting more of a reddish grey out of it, and I wasn't that keen on it. But since putting that ink into this pen, I'm really loving it. So this is the Onoto, and it's the I'm going to shorten this to Christmas Carol. It is the Charles Dickens, but Christmas Carol 2023 in a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib, but it is the silver trim or silver gilding. And then the ink in here that I like so much now is KWZ Old Smoke, which is a UK or London Pen Show exclusive. I'm hesitant to say London. Old Smoke obviously is what London was called, but this ink is used around the whole of the UK Pen Show circuit, not just London, but London is the biggest pen show in the UK Pen Show circuit. And then the next pen here, again, is another Onoto Charles Dickens Christmas Carol 2023, but with the gold trim and gold gilding. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is, again, just a beautiful wet nib. It really is super wet. I do like this, and I think some of this also has to do with the actual uh, ink as well. So this is the Onoto Christmas Carol, and it's 2023. Again, it's the gold trim one, but it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Bourbon, Ombre de Bourbon, which is a very beautiful brown ink, very autumny coloured ink, but very, very, very nice. So, yeah, I have that one inked up this week as well. And then the next pen inked up is the Visconti Opera Master, and this is the Savanna. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is a broad nib. And I do find, though, it's quite a stiff nib, even though it's an 18 karat gold nib. So this is the Visconti Opera Master Savanna. And it's a broad, and it's an 18 karat gold, newer gold nib from Visconti. And then the ink in here is Lamy Mango, which is a nice coloured ink, and I do like that one inked up quite a bit. The next pen here is the Visconti Medici Earl Magnifico, and this is in the Egyptian marble. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this I do find it's a medium nib, and it probably, I'm guessing, probably needs to be a little bit more of a broad nib. So this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. I'm going to put Egypt here, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here I've got today is Rohrer and Klinger, and it's Helianthus, and this can be quite a nice ink, and just trying to work out how to spell that. The difficulty is that it typically needs to be in a broad nib pen, and this is a medium nib pen. I was going to ink this up with Lamy Mango, but I thought, you know what, let's try and choose a different coloured ink. The next pen inked up is the Benu Euphoria Vodka on the Rocks. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a fine nib, and I kind of would like a medium on this, I think. It's nice for writing, don't get me wrong, but I think I would enjoy it more with a medium nib. So this is the Benu Euphoria, and it's the Vodka on the Rocks. Maybe even a broad, actually, but I think a medium. So this is a fine, and it's a steel Schmidt nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Graphite, which is quite light in this pen, I think because of the nib combination, but typically it's normally a darker, almost black coloured ink. The next pen inked up is the Benu Euphoria Bourbon, and one day I'm going to call this the Benu Whiskey, but you can see here this has got a fine nib, but this writes, I'd say, more medium like. So this is, you can already see it there, Benu Euphoria, and it's the Bourbon, and it's a fine, and it's a steel Schmidt nib. And the ink in here is a diamine ochre, which is a beautiful brown ink, and I think matches that pen quite nicely. And then the last pen here, this week inked up, is the Benu Euphoria New Year 2023. So we'll do an ink swatch here as well. Now, this is a medium nib, and I would say that this is almost on par with, in terms of line width, with the Bourbon. So this is the Benu. I think you can see it there. It's very, very similar. So Euphoria, and it's the New Year 2023, and it's a medium, and it's a Schmidt steel nib. And the ink in here is KWZ grass green. And I did once used to put a shimmer ink in here, and I may actually go back to putting a shimmer ink in there at some point, but at the moment I'm liking it with that ink. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have the Benu Talisman in the Tiger's Eye in a broad steel nib inked up with Diamine Blaze Orange. We have a Benu Euphoria Earl Grey Tea in a broad steel nib inked up with Dominant Industry Earl Grey Tea. I'd say that is almost the same colour. Maybe this is slightly darker. We have a Conway Stewart King Charles III Coronation pen in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have an Onoto Christmas Carol 2023 in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Old Smoke. We have an Onoto Christmas Carol 2023 in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Herbin Amber de Bermanie. We have a Visconti Opera Master Savanna in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with Lamy Mango. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Egyptian marble in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Rohr and Klinger Helianthus. And it's not too bad once that ink has dried. It's a little bit more of a sort of an apricot coloured ink, I would say. The next pen inked up is the Benu Euphoria Vodka on the Rocks with a fine steel nib inked up with Diamine Graphite. Have a Benu Euphoria Bourbon in a fine steel nib inked up with Diamine Ochre. And then we have a Benu Euphoria New Year 2023 in a medium steel nib inked up with KWZ Grass Green. So there you have it. That's my Curently Inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye-bye.